Most people live each day haunted by the past, not because they choose to, but because their brain has been wired to repeat familiar emotional patterns. Every morning, they wake up and unconsciously relive the same emotions, thoughts, and habits that shaped yesterday. Without realizing it, the past becomes their future. The brain doesn't distinguish between a remembered experience and a real one. So when you constantly recall a painful memory or emotionally charged event, your body believes it's happening all over again. This cycle traps you in a feedback loop, where your thoughts fire the same neural pathways and keep you emotionally stuck. But what if you could break free from that loop? What if you could teach your brain to create a future instead of just repeating the past? This is the first step to personal transformation. Realizing that your thoughts are not just reactions, but tools to shape reality. Every thought you think releases chemicals in your body. Think of stress, anxiety, or heartbreak. Your body floods with cortisol, adrenaline, and other stress hormones. The more often you think these stressful thoughts, the more addicted your body becomes to those chemicals. Eventually, your body doesn't wait for the event to trigger the emotion. It craves the emotion itself. That's why people often find themselves stuck in toxic patterns, even when nothing external is happening. The body starts controlling the mind, and the conscious self becomes a prisoner of past emotional addiction. To change your life, you must become aware of this chemistry. You must recognize when your body is trying to pull you back into familiar feelings. Awareness is the key. Once you see the pattern, you can interrupt it, and that interruption is where change begins. Your brain is not fixed, it's malleable. Just like muscles grow with exercise, your brain can rewire itself through intentional focus and repeated effort. This is known as neuroplasticity, the ability of the brain to form new connections and override old ones. When you begin to think and feel in new ways, when you visualize a better future and combine it with elevated emotions like joy, gratitude, and love, you start creating new neural pathways. Over time, these new connections become your brain's default mode. This means you no longer wake up feeling stuck. You wake up excited. You no longer wait for life to change before you feel better. You change your inner state first, and then life begins to respond to you differently. That's not magic. That's biology. Meditation isn't about escaping reality. It's about rehearsing the future. When you close your eyes and disconnect from your senses, you create space to explore new possibilities. You shift your attention away from the outer world and dive deep into your inner one. In this space, you can begin to think intentionally, not reactively. You can imagine a future where you're already healthy, successful, in love, or at peace. And when you add emotion to those images, your brain believes they are real. The body starts to respond accordingly. The more often you practice this, the more familiar your brain becomes with this new state of being. Eventually, you won't need something outside of you to feel whole or happy. You'll have taught your body how to feel that way just by thought alone. There's a difference between living as a victim and living as a creator. A victim believes life happens to them. A creator knows they have the power to influence their reality. And that power lies in the gap between stimulus and response. The moment you choose differently. When you wake up each day and choose new thoughts, new emotions, and new behaviors, you teach your brain that it's safe to change. You show your body that you are no longer addicted to the past. That is when transformation becomes not only possible, but inevitable. Every decision becomes a vote for the future you want to live in. The more consistent you are, the more that future starts to manifest. Not by chance, but by alignment between your thoughts, emotions, and actions. You stop waiting for change. You become the change. At some point, the body gets so used to certain emotional states that it doesn't wait for the mind. It becomes the mind. You might say you're ready to change, but if your body wakes up and expects stress, sadness, or anxiety, it will trigger those feelings before you even leave bed. This is how autopilot living begins. You might consciously want success or love, but if your body is conditioned to fear, rejection, or frustration, it will override those desires. You keep choosing familiar pain over unfamiliar possibility. True change begins when you realize that you must teach your body a new emotional vocabulary. You must retrain it, moment by moment, to stop being the master and become the servant of the conscious mind again. You can't change your future while being emotionally anchored to the past. That's why the present moment is powerful. It's the only place where real change happens. But being present is harder than it sounds because your mind wants to run back to what it knows. The present moment is unfamiliar. It's uncomfortable because it demands awareness. And awareness means you must stop numbing yourself with distractions, regrets, or what-ifs. You must become fully awake to who you are and how you're showing up. When you fully embrace the now, you interrupt the program. You make space for new thoughts, new feelings, and new choices. And in that space, you reclaim the steering wheel of your life. You can't create a new life with the same personality that created the old one. Your identity isn't fixed. It's a story you've told yourself over and over again. And every day you get to rewrite it with your choices. Think about the version of yourself you want to become. How do they think, feel, walk, speak? What do they believe is possible? Every time you align your current self with those future traits, you close the gap between who you are and who you want to be. It's not about faking it. It's about embodying it. You're not pretending to be someone else. You're practicing becoming your potential until one day, it feels more real than the past you've outgrown. Everything in the universe, including you, is made of energy. Your thoughts, your emotions, your beliefs all emit a frequency. When your thoughts and feelings are incoherent, you're sending mixed signals into the world. But when your thoughts are clear and your emotions are elevated, when you feel joy, gratitude, and confidence about a future you haven't seen yet, you're sending a consistent, powerful broadcast. And the universe responds. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are. That's why inner work is the real work. When your inner world changes, your outer world mirrors it back to you in unexpected and often miraculous ways. Many people set goals, make resolutions, and try new habits, but then fall back into old patterns. Why? Because they never change their inner program. They try to force new behavior on top of an old identity. Without awareness, you'll unconsciously return to what's familiar. Even if it hurts, you'll sabotage growth just to feel the comfort of certainty. That's why transformation demands more than action. It requires becoming conscious of your unconscious self. The good news is, the moment you become aware, you're no longer the program. You're the observer, and the observer has the power to choose differently. Reading books, watching videos, or listening to podcasts can give you insights. But transformation doesn't come from knowing. It comes from becoming. You must take knowledge and turn it into experience, and experience into a new state of being. It's easy to talk about change. It's harder to live it when no one is watching. When it's just you, your patterns, and your commitment. That's where the real work begins. And that's where the real freedom lies. When your body, mind, and spirit are all aligned with your future, not your past, you won't need motivation. You'll be pulled forward by vision, driven by energy, and anchored in a new truth. You are the creator of your life. You were never meant to stay the same. You were designed to evolve, to rise above old stories, to let go of the chains disguised as comfort. The past may have shaped you, but it does not define you, unless you choose to let it. Every day is an invitation to remember your power, to rewire your story, to show the world what's possible when a human being chooses to wake up, not just to their life, but to their potential. Not just to survive, but to create, to feel, to love, and to live fully. So don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't wait for the fear to disappear. The future you want is already waiting. Not somewhere out there, but inside you. All it takes is a decision, a breath, a shift, and the courage to believe that the best version of you is not a fantasy. It's a frequency. Tune into it and become it.